course, the Giants were also
Yes.
not relevant.
Let's
until-
not
All
talk
right,
about
you
that.
ready?
The Jets are on.
Ready?
Ready.
Good evening and welcome to a meeting of your Mountainside Board of Education. Today is September 20th, 2022. In accordance with the state sunshine law and state regulations, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by mailing a notice of the time, date, location, and instructions for accessing the meeting to the Union County local source in the Westfield Leader, filing same with the Borough Clerk, posting the notice at the main access door of the Mountainside Board of Education building and on the Mountainside Board of Education website. These meetings are reserved for board deliberation and for review of items contained within the agenda. The board reserves the right to vote on action items. The board welcomes the participation of interested individuals. We encourage questions about specific school practices, incidents, or events to be brought directly to the school administration. Public comment will be permitted at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement. In addition, time will be allotted at the end of the meeting for public comment on any item. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Dillon.
Here.
Dr. Guido-Pietro.
Here.
Mr. Hyman.
Here.
Mrs. Pupo. Mr. Raban.
Here.
Mrs. Shiano.
Here.
Mr. Venice.
Here.
So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session. It is 6:31. We will be returning at 7:30 to continue the balance of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll be back in about an hour.
7:30.
7:30
You don't have to have your keys
is the
on you,
public
do you?
section.
Ready.
Good evening and welcome to a meeting of your Mountainside Board of Education. Today is September 20th, 2022. In accordance with the state sunshine law and state regulations, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by mailing a notice of the time, date, location, and instructions for accessing the meeting to the Union County local source in the Westfield Leader, filing same with the Borough Clerk, posting the notice at the main access door of the Mountainside Board of Education building and on the Mountainside Board of Education website. These meetings are reserved for board deliberation and for review of items contained within the agenda. The board reserves the right to vote on action items. The board welcomes the participation of interested individuals. We encourage questions about specific school practices, incidents, or events to be brought directly to the school administration. Public comment will be permitted at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement. In addition, time will be allotted at the end of the meeting for public comment on any item. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Dillon.
Here.
Dr. Guido-Pietro.
Here.
Mr. Hyman.
Here.
Mrs. Pupo. Mr. Raban.
Here.
Mrs. Shiano.
Here.
Mr. Venice.
Here.
So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session. It is 6:31. We will be returning at 7:30 to continue the balance of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll be back in about an hour.
7:30.
7:30
You don't have to have your keys
is
on
the
you, do
public
you?
section. Thank you. We are returning from our executive session. It is 7:34, and at this time, I would ask that we all rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes from our August regular and executive sessions.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dillon.
Yes.
Dr. Guido-Pietro.
Yes.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Pupo. Mr. Raban.
Yes.
Mrs. Shiano.
Yes.
Mr. Venice.
Yes.
We have some correspondence this evening.
Yep, we do have four. An email from Jay Soares regarding curriculum, an email from G. Van Kirk regarding legal counsel and structure for board meetings, a letter from J. Pulse regarding curriculum, and a letter from E. Feller regarding curriculum.
Thank you. So at this time, I'm opening the floor for public comment on any agenda items. Again, this is the moment where you can ask us questions about items on the agenda before we vote on it. I will, again, as we did last month, ask you to hold your questions and comments on the health curriculum because there are some presentations. Again, I want you to have all the information before you ask questions and stuff. I think that's best. So at this time, any other agenda items, please feel free to come to the podium, state your name and address prior to making a statement or asking a question. Oh, that's the man working the camera. Somebody got him. I was like, all right. Seeing none, At this time, I have something I'm going to read. Where did I put it? There it is. Tonight, we are faced with an important decision. The New Jersey School Board of Education, the New Jersey State Board of Education adopted the revised Comprehensive Health and Physical Education Standards section of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, the NJSLS, of which implementation is mandated commencing with the 2022-2023 school year. Individual school districts have control over their curriculum and specific lesson plans. However, districts must ensure that curriculum and instruction are designed and delivered in such a way that all students are able to demonstrate the knowledge and skills specified by the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. In weighing this decision, we must be aware of the potential consequences and penalties to our school district if the board fails to adopt curriculum adhering to the state-mandated Comprehensive Health and Physical Education course standards. The New Jersey State Department of Education, the NJDOE, has publicly stated that school districts that do not adhere to the new health and physical education course standards will be penalized with consequences varying depending on the severity of the lack of compliance. The New Jersey State Department of Education has not discussed the specific penalties that a district may face. However, upon consultation with counsel, possible consequences of failing to adopt their curriculum, which adheres to the state-required course standards, could potentially include loss of state funding and aid, the district being placed on a corrective action plan by the state, loss of points on the New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum, which is QSAC, civil liability and lawsuits, staff members or administrators, licenses or certificates being impacted, board members, as well as administrators facing ethics charges. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Welling for her superintendent's report.
So good evening, everybody, and welcome. Before I do share a health curriculum update, I do just want to recognize a couple of things as we start the school year. So first of all, welcome back, everybody. I hope that your children have been enjoying their first weeks of school and getting used to their new routines, and we are very, very happy to have everybody back with us. We have the opportunity over the next 2 nights on both tomorrow evening at Beechwood and Thursday evening here at Deerfield for parents to attend back to school night. So this would be the opportunity for everyone to come and see your children's teachers, understand their programs for the year, and get a good sense of what we have ahead. We're very excited about a lot of different things. You may recall that last spring we adopted a brand new math curriculum. So Big Ideas is getting off and running, and we are starting to utilize that. Our students in 4th through 8th grade will be participating in the Start Strong assessments. You should have received information if your children are at Deerfield for that occurring over the next 2 weeks or so. And that is a state program to address any learning loss that has been lingering over time, began during COVID, and is continuing in that way. But I do truly want to thank the teachers, our staff, our custodians, our secretaries, everybody for really making this year's opening very, very smooth. We've been very pleased with how everything's gotten started, and the children were doing such a great job, and hopefully all of them really are enjoying it as well. The other thing that is an annual report to share with the board, it is on your agenda this evening, is our, all right, there we go, our student safety data system. We annually, twice a year, we need to report to the state where we are with HIB incidents, allegations, and trainings that we provide to our staff and our students. So this report covers actually last year's January through June, so to the end of the year. And it is in your notes to note, but to recognize that during that time period last year, we had 5 alleged HIB situations at Deerfield, and we had 1 at Beechwood. But of those that were founded, we had 2 founded HIB, harassment, intimidation, and bullying incidents at Deerfield School, and we had 1 at Beechwood that was founded. In addition to that, we do trainings throughout the year, which ranges anywhere from our required policy training for both the board, the students, our staff, to activities. Those of you here at Deerfield know that they've started this week with Start with Hello Week. And that is a great opportunity for students to get to know each other and recognize each other. So those are types of activities that we include, as well as other programs that happen. So that is on your agenda for this evening, and I just wanted to report out that information. So from here, just give me a moment. Yep, I'm just going to bring the screen down. Similar to for those of you who were with us last month, I shared an overview of how Mountainside is approaching the state health curriculum. And so I am going to provide you with an update as to where that stands.
And that's new. And that's new.
I think some WD-40 might be in order.
Can we do that too?
Yeah.
Someone said the audio is not working online.
Oh.
Okay. There is an issue. Are we able to address that at all? Okay.
How, you need a couple minutes? No?
I'm sorry?
Just go with it, 'cause I don't want it. We'll record it. Recording is over there.
The recording is full, but unfortunately, if there is a way that is there a way that we can take a look into it to see if we can get?
Yeah, that's pretty fine right now.
Okay. All right.
You want to pause it?
I don't know the answer to that. It's going to take a moment.
You
So,
wanna wait?
Hmm?
I don't know anything.
no. I don't know if we can put up a note that, just to let people know that we are having difficulties with our, is there a way that I don't know if we can comment
did?
within.
You got it?
Let them know?
He said they did.
We're good?
We're good?
He said they just put a note that,
Okay.
right?
Okay, so we are working on this, but we will go ahead and get started, so hopefully everybody is able to hear. And we can hopefully pull this up, and it is being recorded, so it will be able to be viewed. So, as I shared last month when I spoke with everyone, I did share kind of a very thorough overview of how Mountainside is approaching the state-mandated health curriculum. It is the comprehensive health and phys ed curriculum. These are the standards that were issued back in 2020 and are expected to be enforced in all school districts beginning this year in 2022. So I want to, some of it, maybe a little bit of a repeat for those who joined us last month. I would like to share that with you and then bring you up to speed with any adjustments and where we stand. So please understand, we recognize and we understand that these standards, which while over 80% of the curriculum for health and phys ed is exactly as it has always been. These are over 80% of these standards have been in place since before 2014, when the last adoption was made. We do recognize that there are changes, and as we started to implement the curriculum writing process, we really took an eye and fully evaluated this through the lens of student age, development, and ability to understand the core ideas that are required in the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. As we worked on these curricular documents, we ensured that the lessons included terminology and topics that are appropriate to the grade level being taught. We took great care in identifying the most appropriate approach to handling sensitive topics. And we recognize that there are topics in here that are considered sensitive. And we really worked to make sure that the activities were very specific in how we felt our students could manage them. So in this document, and I will share some of this with you in a few moments, we included specific activities. We included links. We included strategies that the teachers will use for their day-to-day instruction. And that is the core of what is being shared and what is being presented to the board, are the specifics that make it the Mountainside curriculum. we took a look at that, and hopefully many of you have had that opportunity. These curricular documents have been up on our district website since August. They are wide open. Every link is available, so hopefully many of you have taken the opportunity to fully view and look through the documents that we have. We assessed every standard to determine the best grade for instruction, and we maintained a focus on the broader concepts of how diversity, tolerance, fairness, and respect for others can contribute to all individuals feeling accepted. So this was our driving force as we began this. So I wanted to take a quick moment because, I've been doing curriculum and working in education for over 30 years. And even after 30 years, when you look at a curricular document, it gets overwhelming. There's a lot of different sections to it. So I wanted to take a moment as we talk about this to share with you how our documents are laid out. Our sound is back. Welcome to those of you at home. We wanted to share with you really how this is laid out so that you have an awareness. So all of our curricular documents, if you are to look at them, they are found on our website, and every one of them has a similar layout as you start to look at these. They just go by grade level. But within each and every one, the first thing you will find are the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. These are what we were presented by the New Jersey Department of Ed. I want you to understand that these are the blueprint that describe the expectations of what students should know and be able to do. They are not, and I want to stress that because it is very, very important for our district, they are not the actual instructional lessons. Those will come a little bit later in the document, as I will show you. So when you look at a curricular document, one of the first things you're going to see are a section such as this. So this was a unit on wellness and nutrition. This was the 8th grade curricular doc. So anything that has these lines, this information, this outlines what the state has given us as the blueprint to follow. They are not the lessons. Now, I would like to share, based upon feedback that we had, and to make things a little bit more clear. After our last meeting, when we shared this information, we made the determination that we would remove all examples that follow the standard. So if you looked at our standards, they would tell you what the standard is, and then in parentheses, it would say e.g. something. Those examples are not a requirement in order to meet the standard. But what we found was they did tend to cause some confusion, and they caused some uncertainty about how we as a district are planning to instruct our students. So for an example, I have it down here at the bottom. By the end of grade 5, the actual standard is to explain common human sexual development and the role of hormones. This has always been there. This is what, if any of your children were in 5th grade, they have a lesson with Nurse Sonia and Nurse Bronco. And this is part of their annual 5th grade health curriculum. It has always been a part of it. What was causing confusion and some concern were these examples. So as a district, we have removed them because these are not part of our language, if you will, when we are instructing to the students. We are teaching the standard and not necessarily all of these examples. So we made that determination. That is different from for those of you who might have looked at our curriculum back in August. So that is one of the things. After you look at those standards, those blueprints, you will find that our document has, our document includes interdisciplinary connections, enduring understandings, and essential connections. This shows how a curricular document connects to other curricular areas. So in the interdisciplinary connections, you would find other links to reading. You will find links to our career readiness, computer science. This is how curriculum works for us. It overlaps between things. You would then find enduring understandings and essential questions, which is basically the overall of what's happening in that unit. And then you would get to the objectives. What will the student be able to do after that unit is taught to them? Where we really concentrated, where we put our efforts, is in what we feel is the core of this curriculum. the teaching and learning actions. So anybody who read through our curriculum, if you got to the spot that had a lot of links and stories, this is what I am referring to. This is the true core. This is what we are teaching. So if you are looking at our curriculum, this outlines the actual activities that we intend to teach as we interpret that blueprint of the state standards. In this section, we limited and vetted all new material to make sure it met the requirements of the standards without going beyond them. We provided, as I already shared, very specific activities and resources to ensure continuity and clarity. We want to make sure that every class is taught exactly the same by our health teachers and by others. And it talks about exactly how we implement them. We also identified, and you will see it in some examples, certain standards to be taught only at the end of each grade span. So the way that the state issued these, they are K to 2, 3 to 5, and 6 to 8. When evaluating this curriculum, we found that if we felt that there was something more sensitive, we made sure that we are not touching it or teaching it until we hit the far end of a grade span. And that is also identified in the documents, because we felt that's where it was more developmentally appropriate. So to share with you just a couple of quick examples. In K to 2, this is the unit on personal growth and development. Now, we know that at K to 2, one of the more sensitive topics, one of the more sensitive standards was to utilize correct terminology for body parts, and then it said including genitals. The reality is at K to 2, we talk about body parts in terms of body systems, or we talk about them through books. If you've ever read Parts by Todd Arnold, these are books that have nothing to do with private parts. It has nothing to do with genitals. So when you look through this section, this is a prime example. The blueprint gives us a standard. We, as a district, have chosen how we will implement that, and you can check on every single link in here, and you will not find a single word that deals with private parts or genitals. It does not exist in our K to 2 curriculum. That is how we are approaching these types of activities. Everything that is in blue is a hyperlink, and it takes us. So if you look at the body systems worksheet for basic body parts, and you go down, here is our parts of the body, and you can take a look. These are basic body parts. That shows you, and so as parents, we wanted to be very clear and very transparent straight through this process so you know what exactly is being shared with your children. At the 3 to 5 grade level, you will see that we talk about, this is a unit on health conditions. As we work through it, again, medicine safety, colds and flus. We might have a link to a video. Everything that we are talking about is there and available for our community and our district to utilize. It also provides our teachers with a very clear blueprint of how to implement the standards. When we get to the grades 6 to 8, again, we take a look at each of our areas. You will notice here at the bottom, we identified 8th grade. So anything that is specific to that would not, so if it says 8th grade, while this is a 6 to 8 curricular document, it does not get shared with students until the 8th grade. So those are how we are laying these out. And when we talk about some of our more sensitive topics, for example, the reproductive system, these are being done through vetted materials. This is done through Brain Pop. If you are familiar with that program, it is well vetted. It is done in a more cartoon style. And that is how we are sharing our certain different pieces of information. This also, I felt, because we'll talk a little bit later about our opt-out policies, this document, having it out here, allows parents to really make a fully informed decision on what activities they do or do not want their child to participate in. As we move on, the rest of each unit does have additional information if you're looking at a curricular document. It includes assessments, how would we assess students, How do we show evidence of learning? The instructional materials, that might include links, how we differentiate for various identified student groups, and that finishes out a unit, and then it repeats for every additional unit. So a couple of things you will not find. I shared with you a lot of what you will find in here, but there's a lot of things you will not find in our document. You will not find links to any unsafe or questionable sites such as Amaze. We know that that website has garnered a lot of public scrutiny. We made sure, again, reliable educational sources. I already shared with you in grades 2, K-2, there is no reference to genitals, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Neither of those are in standards. Neither of those exist in the state curriculum. However, there has been information out on the websites about this being brought down to that grade level, and I am assuring you that it, again, does not exist in the curricular documents we've been given, nor is it something that we're going to cover. Grades 3 to 5, they talk about sexual orientation and gender identity. That is a standard. We have chosen not to address it until grade 5. And when we do so, it is done in a very age-appropriate manner. We are not getting into deeper conversations. The definition is available, and it is done, again, in a very appropriate manner. And this is all we have. This is a very what we have felt and what we have vetted to be appropriate. That definition might look different at the middle and high school level, but it does not at ours. At grades 6 to 8, the most sensitive standards will not be covered until grade 8. Since the last board meeting, we did meet with committee, we heard feedback from others, and we did make some minor changes to a number of our activities. We are very, very clearly aware that there are certain standards that are creating a great deal of concern and a great deal of worry amongst those in the public. And so we, again, went back, we revisited, we look at how do we address. So there is one standard on defining 3 different types of sex that has been concerning to a number of people. And we have made a change since our prior document. So rather than stating the definitions, which is exactly what is out there, we have identified a more appropriate way to address this concept through something that's already existing. We talk about STIs. Used to be STDs, they're now infections instead of diseases, sexually transmitted infections. And part of those lessons, and again, STIs have been talked about at 8th grade level prior to these new standards. They have been in place since 2014. So rather than getting into that area, we have determined that we can cover this standard, our blueprint, with the actual activity, with where it is just simply talking about the body part as a place of transmission, not as an act. And therefore, that is a different way that the district would approach this. Since our August board meeting, we have had a couple of things happen. And so I want to kind of, again, bring those of you who might have watched or those of you who were here some adjustments. So since the last meeting, we did consult our board attorney to gather information as to what would be the ramifications if we did not approach. Potential ramifications. And so as Mr. Ruban shared at the beginning, I did want to share, and this is straight from the state, that this could potentially include items such as a loss of state funding and aid, the district being placed on a corrective action plan, loss of points on CUSAC, civil liability and lawsuits, staff members or administrators' licenses or certificates being impacted, and board members as well as administrators facing potential ethics charges. So those are details that have been shared. We were also advised, as this was a topic of conversation, we were also advised that the district is not permitted to implement an opt-in policy under the law. However, we do have what we feel is a very well-identified and well-outlined opt-out policy that we will share. Also at our last meeting, there was a statement made that 14 school districts, an audience member stated that 14 school districts had already rejected the state curriculum. And I would like to clarify that. We have researched every single one of the districts that was identified through that statement. We were only able to locate information on 12 of them. Of those 12, only 2 have officially rejected the state curriculum. The vast majority of the others have wholly adopted the curriculum following a restrained approach similar to what we are doing. So in researching those, that was the information that we were able to locate. So I just wanted to clarify that. One of the pieces, again, came up, it was a question from the board, was what could a loss of state funding look like for a district like Mountainside? So I would like our business administrator, Mr. Robinson, to share some information.
So the word again is potentially, and everything besides extraordinary aid is a fixed number. We know that's a guaranteed number. Extraordinary aid is subject to extraordinary costs with special education, but last year we received $193,789, which means the 2022-23 total is approximately $1,934,000. In theory, if we were to lose all that state aid, the average household would pay $636 more in taxes. In reality, though, there's a 2% cap limitations. So you would not be able to increase by $636 unless you got approval from the state as well as voters to go above the 2% cap. That would mean that we'd have to make budget reductions. And unfortunately, that significant amount of money would require to be a significant amount of staff positions to be able to be within cap.
Okay. So another,
And that represents what percentage of our budget?
Represents roughly 9% of our budget, $1,900,000.
Thank you. I don't have a mic.
Yes.
so the final piece I want to share with you, and I know it's a lot of information, so I just, again, I appreciate the understanding and just wanted to share with everybody the process and how we have very, really tried to show the best restraint that we can in our implementation and how to provide this mandate within the needs of our students. However, given all of that, given all of the information that we have shared, given all of the activities and the specific details that we have created, every parent still has parental choice. And their choice that they have the option to do is to opt their child out of any portion of the instruction that is going to be presented. Now, this opt-out choice has always been in existence. Our current policy was adopted back in 2008. So the policy has always existed, and parents have had this opportunity, whether it was a health class, whether it was a specific book in an English class, whether it was dissection of frogs in a science class. The opportunity to choose to have your child not participate has always been an option. However, we are aware of how the impact could be with our updated comprehensive health curriculum. So what we have added to this process for this year is that at the beginning of every unit, parents will be provided with a unit summary, the link to the curricular activities, very similar to what I showed you. They will know exactly where to find the outline of what we are instructing, and the opportunity to opt out their child at the beginning of the year. You can choose to do it for the entire year, what sections, or prior to each individual unit. So this information will be sent out prior to each unit. So parents will have that information at their fingertips and be able to make an informed choice. The only exception that we have with the beginning notification are the very first few units of kindergarten to second. And the reasoning for that is those units, again, all have existed forever. They deal with things like fire safety. They deal with dental health. They deal with working with friends. All of these are things that are part and parcel of a kindergarten through second grade classroom and are taught ongoing throughout the entire year. So fire safety happens during Fire Safety Month. Dental Health Month is when we will teach more about our teeth. So those are a little bit more split up. However, anything, and still a parent has the right to opt out of that, please. I wanted to be clear about that. But we felt that, again, any units that might have these new standards, These we will do unit by unit. And I do want to reiterate that any units other than those K-2 that fall into a natural instruction will be taught by our certified health teachers. So these are teachers who hold certification in health and phys ed. They are the ones who would be teaching these. So in order to have this happen, parents will be provided with information on the opt-out process. So we outline for parents what we have. It will have a link to any of my presentations. It will have a link to our health curriculum. We will explain the process. And as we move forward through the year, it will also have information about the individual units. As I shared down here, K-2, because units 1 through 4 are part of everyday lessons incorporated into the regular school year, and as we shared, they include topics such as friendship, respect, nutrition, personal safety, and health practices. All of those tend to be a part of our general education. The rest of them will receive notification. From there, parents would then have the opportunity to fill out a Google survey in which, and this information, please understand, would not be shared with anybody but our administrators and our health teachers, and the health teachers that it applies to. It is not public knowledge, this is not something, but it would be allowed to then share with us information, their grade level, and the specific details. So if as a parent, you feel that the way that we have approached the state standard is not within your liking and you're concerned about the standard, you would identify the specific standard that you are opting your child out of. Otherwise, you could identify the story. I do not like, or the activity. I do not like in Unit 1, read and discuss Be Kind by Pat Zeitlow Miller. That is one of our activities that we have in our instructional piece. Any activities, we are then notified, and the teachers will have this information before the unit is being taught. So we have this information beforehand. The administrators will speak and the health teachers will be aware, so that the students will then have the opportunity to do an alternate activity or an alternate lesson before. This is very, very important, and it was something that we discussed as a board at our last meeting, that we don't want any child to be singled out. We don't want any child to, in the middle of a class, oh, you're not supposed to be here. We will be notifying in advance. And what that looks like, honestly, is going to depend on the schedule that is happening in the building, and it is going to depend on the amount of opt-out. At the K-5 level, if there is, for example, an alternate gym class happening during a health class, the student may go and have an additional gym class that period. They may meet with our school counselors if we have a number of students, and they may do a social skills group. That may be an activity. At the middle school, health is a graded subject. So if a parent chose to opt their child out of a larger portion of a unit, then the child may have an alternate work assignment to complete during that period so that that can still be graded, and then they will receive their academic grade to reflect that. With all of this process, that power goes to the parents' hands. The parents have the opportunity to review it, to look at it, and to make any decisions that you feel are best and ensure an understanding of how and when each standard will be taught with their child. Okay?
Board questions.
So if there are,
I'm going
yep,
back.
you may go back. If there are board questions, oops, don't trip.
So I have some questions.
Okay?
On the
Dana,
first
you
slide,
have a
on the first slide, you had said that great care was taken in identifying the most appropriate approach to handle sensitive topics. So I saw I understand your explanation of how you changed that to be more sensitive on certain topics through the curriculum. But how will you handle the sensitive topic after the lesson was done and it sparks some emotions and feelings?
So if a student has a reaction, as we would with anything, it could happen from a situation on the playground. That is why we have full-time school counselors in both buildings. So our teachers know that if a topic comes up, if there is something that they see, if a student is having a reaction or a concern, we would first refer to our school counselors who are trained in how to work with students on sensitive subjects. And in addition, the district, through some of our federal funding this year, has partnered with Tri-County Behavioral Health. And we have a licensed counselor who is working in our district 2 full days a week. So we would be able to potentially utilize that person to provide support for any students, for any concerns that may
I think
come
I
up.
asked last month, but will the counselors be aware of the topics that are being taught throughout the
Absolutely.
year?
The topics, the counselors have been provided with all the same curricular materials. They have already reviewed them, and they will also be given for notice before units are instructed.
Okay. And about the opt-out option, I know that you had said, where the students would go depends on where the classes are. Will the counselors be involved when somebody opts out? Just being sensitive to the fact that if a child opts out, one of two things can happen. They can either get bullied by their peers because they opted out of a class, or they can learn the lesson by Johnny, who went to the class and now is teaching them completely opposite of what the teacher taught them and thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have in place for the opt-out option to protect the child for either of those scenarios?
So in terms of where they go, that would be a decision that is determined by the combination. We look at our class schedules, the principal administrators are involved, if the counselors are involved, so we make sure that, again, this is not looked at and is part of our board policy. There is no penalization. There is nothing to penalize a child for an opt-out decision. So the location absolutely could involve our counselors as well. In terms of any discussions, we cannot stop students from talking in a lunchroom. We cannot stop them from talking out on a playground, after school, through social media. We have all, as parents, have seen that regardless of what the topic is. However, again, ensuring that our students are treated with dignity and that there is sensitivity to everything is always our goal.
Thank you.
Other board questions?
I just have one question, but I first wanted to say thanks to the curriculum committee and to you, Janet. I know that this was a lot of work to just even preparing for last meeting, and I think the work that's been done from what I can see here, I came into our last conversation and your last presentation thinking we had done a nice job as a district to get us to what I would call a bare minimum from a standards perspective. Looks like we've done an even better job of folding things together, which is I think a credit to the curriculum committee and to you. On the opt-out policy, can you just explain just from a hypothetical time perspective? So if a new unit starts on a Monday, will parents get a heads up on a preceding Wednesday or Friday? How much time will they have to, again, take another look
Yep.
at the unit and then decide?
My ultimate goal, quite honestly, because of scheduling, because of organizing, would be a minimum of a week and a half, preferably 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because that allows parents the opportunity to really thoroughly look at things, make an informed decision on what they would like to do, spend the time, gather the information, disseminate it. Anything less than a week and a half is rushed, and that opens up opportunities for there to be, just not to give people the opportunity to fully participate in making that best decision that they feel is right for their children.
That's great. Thanks.
Yep.
Just a follow-up, maybe clarifying. Did I hear there was a opt-out, I can opt out for multiple in the beginning of the year? Or
Yes.
is it one by one? So in the
So-
beginning of the year, I get a list of something.
So in the
similar,
beginning
right?
of the year, it would be pretty much that letter with the link to all of your grade level curriculum. So as a parent, you could make that decision if you wanted to sit down, spend a great deal of time looking through it all at once, make your determination for the year, you could do that, and we would have that information up front. However, we know that most people will not do it that way. They will work as the topics come up, and that's where they can focus. So what we have chosen to do, so this would be the general letter that starts out at the beginning of the year. Everybody gets it. And then as the units come up grade by grade, those separate letters would go out. So third grade, in 2 weeks, we are starting Unit 5. The topic is, mental health and whatever it may be. Here is the summary of it. Here is the link to it. Please take a look if there's anything you would like to opt your child out of. And we have chosen, like I said, other than that 1 through 4 at kindergarten through second, we will do it for every unit. Not just what we have felt are sensitive. We feel that it is, again, parental prerogative. We want to give every parent every right to look at all of those units. And at the K-2, those units 1 through 4, they still have the option. It's just because it's spread across the year, it's more difficult to send out, we're starting this unit.
And then these would go out immediately, right? Because this is for this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'd like to comment. I spent some time this morning on the phone with the county office, and I asked many specific questions. You know, what happens if we do not approve it? I never got a specific answer. This could happen, that could happen, but nothing specifically. And the more I look at this curriculum, there are parts that I like, and then there are parts that I don't know if the student in grades 6, 7, and 8 are ready for some of this information. Where I do know, because I worked in a high school for 37 years, I know in the health classes, they taught many of these things. Now, my point is, I don't know if this grade level, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, are ready for this. That's my personal opinion. So there are parts that I like, and there are parts that I'm not happy with in this curriculum. And, you know, when you ask for specifics, I didn't get them. That this could happen.
From the county.
When could this happen? Oh, we're not sure. So, you know, I don't want to put fear into the people here that you're going to lose all this state aid and that money's going to be taken away. Your taxes are going to go up $600, $700. We didn't get to that point yet. That's my comment.
Thank you. Other comments from the board or questions?
I'd like to comment.
Sure.
I first want to thank Ms. Walling and the physical education teachers because I know they spent a great deal of time revising the curriculum multiple times. And then as us as a curriculum committee, me being the chair of the committee, we've spent hours upon hours working on this curriculum. So the one thing that I can say, whether I'm supposed to or not, is I do feel blackmailed by the Department of Ed that if we don't make a decision that's in favor of what they want, that we could lose. So I will say that. Being in education for close to 24 years, though, I am concerned about our district as a whole, that if we don't accept this, that we could face certain ramifications. State funding, and like we said, these are all potential, but these are basic ramifications that we could face, hence why I feel like I'm being blackmailed into voting a certain way. I personally can agree with some of these standards and personally can disagree with some of these standards. However, with that being said, knowing the amount of time we spent and looking at the units and looking at what we are going to be teaching our students in Mountainside, I truly am confident that the way that we are meeting the standards will be in the most innocent fashion that we can to where the state cannot hit us with any of these ramifications, but to where our children are also going to still keep their innocence, I guess I could say, even though there's certain ones that in 8th grade I want to jump out a window, but I still feel after we've revised it multiple times, I can kind of swallow how we're going to go around about to meet that standard. So I do appreciate all of the work that you've put in. I don't think Mrs. Walling has slept for weeks. And
Especially when-
It's overrated.
I mean,
Especially when I keep calling
and
her.
in a small district, she has taken the brunt of being director of curriculum, being superintendent, being a teacher, being a parent, and having to literally deal with our curriculum committee, who I will say we were not easy to deal with because we kept coming back.
That's why you're
with
there.
a lot of things. And even, I will say this, even lessons that were once taught and videos that were once shown in previous years that if you have any older kids, they probably saw them. We were like, oh God, no, we're not showing those. And we made her take those out and make them even more innocent, and your older kids probably saw them. So I just want to say thank you to the public. I understand, and I think we're all in a terrible spot sitting up here, and you as parents, but I as a curriculum chair, I had to say what I had to say.
You know, I
Thank
would like to just piggyback off, you know, definitely thanks to Mrs. Walling and Mrs. Krutz, what they've done, a great job navigating through what was thrown at them. I unfortunately have a really hard time swallowing it. As a board member, I feel that we are an anti-bullying state. We pride ourselves in this anti-bullying mission and anti-bullying tactics on every aspect of it, and then they're turning around and completely bullying us as board members. As a clinical psychologist, I am licensed to protect the welfare of children, and that is unethical for me to vote for something like this. But then they're telling me as a board member it's unethical that I'm not voting for it. It is hypocritical. It is unacceptable. And I feel I'm very angry that the state is putting us in this vulnerable, uncomfortable situation and then holding money over our head and saying we're going to be brought up on ethical charges and possibly doing something horrible to our amazing teachers that we have. I just think it's disgusting, and I really can't stomach it. I'm not going to swallow it. You know, with that being said, I just want to say, like, there's some part of the curriculum that I do think is very important. I mean, I'm not naive. I know what my kids do and see, but I don't think one size fits all. I think that they put this curriculum out there for our state to throw in every single school system, and I think that, you know what, I really do wholeheartely feel that this curriculum is probably really beneficial to some towns. I really do. I think at sixth, 7th, 8th grade, the stuff that they're making them teach, I really do see a benefit to it. I really do. But what I would have liked the state to come at us and say is, this is a highly recommended curriculum. We would like this to be implemented into your school system, but we are going to trust you as the board members to decide for yourselves if this is the right curriculum for your district. And then maybe we say no then, and then they do some research and have some data that they can then present to us and say, hey, listen, we used this curriculum in these towns, and it worked really well. Now implement it. The fact that they mandated us to do this instead of highly recommended us, I think this whole curriculum was thrown down our throats without any research or anything to stand by it.
One last comment. If we do what they want, I'll bet you'll see more mandates for different procedures coming. This is just the start. This is just the start, and you'll see more. And they'll hold the money over you. But if enough people voice their opinion against it, things will change. But if everybody sits back and just goes along with it, you'll keep getting more. It's like social engineering here.
I think it's worth saying just once more, and Janet has said this a couple times. This is not one size fits all. I mean, you know, there is a state blueprint here, which is a mandate, but we're not. That is not what we're adopting. We're not voting on that tonight. So what we're voting on is the Mountainside version of it, and you know that's for us to review. I think that needs to be made clear.
Right.
Very different from what the state has put out, which we can argue, but it's pointless to argue that. Because that is where we started. Where we've ended is the work that you guys have done.
Please, if you want to come to the podium, you're welcome to come to the podium. Please don't shout out from the audience. Thank you. Any other comments from the board?
I apologize.
That's okay. You have a job. So with that, I'm going to open the floor for public participation. The board really wants to hear from all of you. We really do. I don't want to limit you, but I want you to have like a quarterback getting rushed by the new Jet defense. I need you to have that clock in your head, and please, you know, be respectful that we have a lot of people here who probably want to talk, and that, you know, if you speak, please don't come back again till if you want to come back till everybody's spoken.
Speaker forever, hold your peace.
And then I may have to limit you to 3 minutes. I mean, typically, we open it for 30 minutes to let you speak. Again, I may nudge a little, because I know my board, we want this to be productive, and we want you guys to be heard, and we want to hear it. So with that, again, this is for agenda items only, and again, it's the health curriculum. We're still in the portion where it's agenda items only. Please come to the podium, state your name and address prior to making a statement or asking a question.
Hi, Kathy Jackasitz, Wood Acres Drive. I do know how you guys all feel. Been on the board for almost 10 years. So this is obviously in regard to the health curriculum. And yes, I think I have to agree. For what you did, I appreciate very much how you handled it. That being said, once a district votes yes, a teacher can and has gone further with the district's allotted curriculum. And don't think it can't happen. It can, and it has. What is your plan if that does happen? Do you even have a plan? An example right here in New Jersey is a middle school in Hillsborough. In their library, and I was going to read this whole thing, but I'm not even comfortable reading it. There's 2 specific books I'm referring to. One book is about how to have sex with pictures and cartoons. They explain it. They actually give sites like Grindr. I didn't even know of some of these words that are kid-friendly in their words exactly. I never heard the word blowies and bumming. And there's pictures to show this as well. There's another book in the library there that, oh my gosh, they use very graphic descriptions in a cartoon form about having anal sex and having oral sex. These are books. I have the site right here. People went above and beyond what that curriculum said. So if we think just because we're putting this curriculum now, please don't be that naive to say it's necessarily going to stand there. Hopefully it does. I don't see that happening. So these are just 2 examples of hundreds I've gone through. My friends know I do nothing but this part-time because I'm disgusted with what's going on. Maybe this board and this superintendent will not tolerate that. But what about the next board and superintendent? And the next one? Once the door is open, it's open. When you make a deal with the devil, there is only a beginning, people. There is no end. We learned from the ESSER funds that very example. The first 2 installments, the districts are pretty much given autonomy on its spending without ramifications. It was the last installment that the governor stated to the districts you need to conform to our mandates, such as mask wearing, proof of vaccine, testing, etc. To receive that 3rd installment, you had to keep, and to keep that 3rd installment, if you didn't follow those guidelines, you had to give back the money from the first 2. The districts would be made to return all those funds. This is extortion, people. This is not America. This is not a constitutional republic. We're not in a democracy. That's a nice euphemism. A constitutional democracy does not follow the whim of. When do we stand up? When do we say enough is enough? If we are always backing down, the unfortunate answer is, when are we ever going to back down or stand up? Never. This is not acceptable for those voted in to speak for us. At the last meeting, it was stated by board members that they did not have a choice, which was sad to hear that. Not only do you have a choice, this is the time to show what you are actually made of and stand up behind your convictions. At the end of the day, I know I have to answer to my God. How are you going to feel when you are faced with Him at the end day? And then how you voted for this, how are you going to feel at the end when you vote the way you're going to vote this evening? If you vote yes, how are you going to explain that you took the innocence away from His children? Don't ever think that you don't have a choice. You do have a choice, and we can all make those choices. It's about time we stand up to our government and say no. The government works for us, and we need to remind them of that. Let's take the government and say, take your funds. Watch the reactions from the parents. The parents will be the ones that stand up in arms, and the parents are the ones making our government stand up, listen, and back down. It's been done throughout our country. Thank God for our parents, and I hope and I pray at the end of this meeting I can say thank God for our Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Kathy Sotosanti, 340 Raccoon Hollow. It's great to see everyone back in this room without masks on. I can see all your faces. I watched last month's meeting, and I thought it was fantastic, and there's been some very healthy discussions on so many things, and I truly appreciate all the work. I've been speaking to many of my friends in different districts. One of my friends is an assemblywoman down in Colts Neck, and we've been going over this with many different parents from all over the state and different towns. I've been in contact with a tremendous amount of people and what all these different districts are doing. In this New Jersey Assembly number 3968, It states that a Board of Education or the Board of Trustees or a charter school or Renaissance school project shall post in a prominent location on their website information regarding the board-approved curriculum for any instruction necessary. So I guess that is upon approval. And so I was thinking, it feels like we're working small till we get to the bigger places. Like as a mom of 5, I had 4 kids in 4.5 years. I was on a ball field till 9 o'clock at night with 3 kids. I was lucky to get dinner on the table. So, and get them to bed at a reasonable hour. I can't imagine what it's like for all these parents to have to, get home at night, working full time, raising children, and now be all over or make sure that they're on top of a curriculum that may deal with multiple children. I would have had to do 4 times that work for 4 different grades. It's just a lot to impose on people. But I do think, and I'm grateful that you have, that we're in at least a district that is working so hard to make it as appropriate as we can. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of work that went into all that you're doing, and I truly appreciate it. What I think, though, is that it kind of, going with Dr. Guida-Pietro's comments, is that we're working so hard against bullying, and we're put in this horrible position. You are put in this position to have to take extreme thoughts and water them down as best as possible. I went to a meeting 2 weeks ago in Old Greenwich for Project Veritas. They're truth seekers, and they go undercover. And a lot of things teachers do, they go rogue, and they put in their own agendas. So I do feel like that we say yes to this when we're out here to help protect children, to make them feel comfortable when they speak up with their issues. We're training them and teaching them to find someone they can trust, to speak up with vulnerability and trust in those people to have their back. And if they're being bullied or sexually abused or attacked, the people they trust will do the right thing for them to stop the bullying. So it's not that we didn't meet a curriculum that's going to be good enough for the town. It's that if we say yes, then all the people in this room and in the district and all those parents who just don't even know this meeting exists, which would have been me years ago, coming to the table, speaking up against the bully, which is the state of New Jersey. We are in an abusive relationship, in my opinion, for our children with the state of New Jersey, and we're speaking up against the bully, and we're putting trust in people that we hope will have our back to stop the bullying. And if we don't thank you. And if we don't stop the bullying, we're allowing it to continue. And that's exactly what we're trying to teach our kids not to do for their safety.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura Vitolo, 1592 Grouse Lane. I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the work you've done. I know this is a very difficult situation that you've been placed in, and even just from watching the meeting last month to tonight, I'm impressed with the changes and the attention to detail that you've all paid. I know this is really hard. Okay, so I'm not a great public speaker, so I'll just read off of my paper. So thank you to the board, and especially to Mrs. Wallington for having done your best to address a very difficult and unpopular revision to the Health and Family Life curriculum as mandated by the state of New Jersey. I've been greatly inspired and proud by the many school districts who have already voted against taking any part in these new revisions. That said, I stand here today in utter disbelief, but understanding now that I've heard more of your input, that the only thing standing between the long-term emotional, physical, and mental well-being of our children and the all-important preservation of their innocence and birthright to a nurturing, supported, joyful, and wholesome, yes, wholesome childhood is money, as made evident by several board members in the last Board of Ed meeting on August 30th, 2022. To place so much importance on any amount of funding granted by the state of New Jersey to our schools in exchange for doing what we know is experimental at best and may have long-term ill effects on our children borders on the criminal. While many have already addressed the recklessness and harm that will undoubtedly result in the adoption of this newly revised CHPE curriculum, what is more disconcerting to me is that the most sensitive area of these mandates is far from being comprehensive. You cannot teach a 12 or 13-year-old about the brand new socially engineered gender ideology without at the same time teaching them what that looks like at the back end for most who have chosen to transition and are now devoting their lives to sharing their cautionary tales to our youth and their parents, lest they make the same mistake. You can look it up. There have been major fallouts all over the country by children who've hopped on the new popular and all-accepting LGBTQ bus, driving all over social media, mainstream media, and our education system, working hard to confuse and enlist the most vulnerable of our population to help further their blatantly global agenda. They don't care about our children. They care about advancing their beliefs, which are ultimately tied to their end goal of dismantling the traditional family unit. Not all, of course. There are many who deeply suffer with gender dysmorphia, whose goal is simply to be at peace in their own bodies. I believe we all understand that and have compassion for them, and believe they should have ready access as individuals, together with their families and counselors, to the best possible emotional, mental, and physical health care possible. But at the same time, let's not kid ourselves into thinking that these state-mandated changes are not yet another way for the political factions to further their agenda of hypersexualizing our children to their detriment and the detriment of the family unit. As far as the opt-out option, we cannot allow ourselves to be satisfied with the opt-out option. This is how the infiltration begins. We have to stop this from even entering our schools. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves fighting the Board of Ed on the correct terminology to be used for pedophiles next year. FYI, they've already begun shaming people into believing that calling child predators pedophiles is hate speech, and that the correct, brand new, and improved term for these vermin is minor attracted persons. MAP for short. True story, look it up. That's what the plus, yeah. Remember the plus sign at the end of the socially engineered LGBTQ plus classification and movement? Well, there it is, MAP. I do not believe that sexual orientation and or gender identity have any place within the elementary school environment. It promotes the false ideology that these areas of a student's personal identity are anyone's business. Struggles and questions and curiosity about these subjects belong in the home and should usually be decided upon when the child reaches full adulthood. To think that my once beloved local elementary school is even considering these massive emotional and developmental personal subjects within the school environment is alarming to me, and it should be to all of you too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Santos, Mountain Avenue, Mountainside. I'll be brief and to the point. My comment is regarding agenda item number 1, curriculum, health, and family life. As a graduate of Mountainside School System, a lifelong resident of Mountainside, and as a father of 4 daughters, we pride ourselves in our schools and our community here in Mountainside. The curriculum goes against everything Mountainside believes. A school board represents the parents and children of our community, and a no vote to this curriculum would represent that. I'm urging the board to vote no to adopting this absurd curriculum, which includes teaching our children gender identification and about genitalia as early as kindergarten through 2nd grade. This is a parent's role, not the government's, to force this on our teachers and children, including teaching about oral, anal, and vaginal sex from 3rd grade through 8th grade. I would also prefer this board to vote no rather than opt-in or out. An opt-in or out policy has the potential for our children to be harassed or bullied by another student, which can lead to depression and even worse, suicide. I don't believe this board wants that on their hands because they were afraid to do what is right for our children in fear of losing funds from the state. Allow parents to be parents and teachers to be teachers. Thank you.
I just want Ms. Walling to clarify.
Just a quick point of clarification. As shared in our presentation, there is no discussion of genitals at the K-2 in the K-2 curriculum as we are presenting it, and there is no discussion of anal, oral, or vaginal sex at 3 to 5 in any of, that's not at the state level, nor is that at our instructional level. And as we have presented, it would not be utilized in that form in our 6 to 8 curriculum. We, as I shared with you, we embedded that into a lesson on STIs.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dino Aspromatis, 1132 Peachtree Lane. I'm a new resident in Mountainside. I just have a quick question for you guys. It seems like you guys are being forced to eat this. I don't really know how this all works out, but have they provided you guys with a double-blind, white paper, peer-reviewed study of this curriculum and its effectiveness?
No.
No. Okay. So without questioning it, we're just voting on it?
No, I don't think that's the case, because obviously you're questioning it. We obviously have board members questioning it, and we've presented. So again, I appreciate that question about that paper. The thing is this is something that we, again, in the confines of the blueprint, created. So I don't know that there would ever be a study of what we're implementing, right? So I get your question. I can answer no. But again, I will say that it is something that was created by our curriculum committee and our administration. So this is my issue last month was more of, there were a lot of procedural questions, there were a lot of legal questions, and I want to be clear. I don't know that anybody on this board said that the only reason they would vote yes for something was because of money. And does it impact? Yes. And quite frankly, my problem is I have to choose between possibly what I think could be harmful, and I'm sorry I'm taking your time, so this is, but, harmful for a child, but then I got to worry that potentially, and I know Mr. Venice spoke eloquently about it, could damage the entire district, right? So that, yes, this is all in my brain driving me insane. It's I can't even, and Janet's up so much because I call her so much. But, so I do believe that our curriculum committee questioned it, as Ms. Shano had said. They questioned it. We questioned it last month. I questioned it as much as today while I was reviewing it. So don't think that we're not questioning things. Don't think that we're not battling. Don't think that if you watched last month's meeting, I was very proud of this board being here for as long as I've been here and having sat with some people in the audience and Mr. Venice for this long. They worked. They worked hard. They listened. They battled. They compromised, and we came to a place where we felt we could all walk away last month and then arrive at this point. We challenged the curriculum committee and the superintendent to do some work. We challenged our legal counsel with some questions. We've done a lot. So I just push back a little that we're not questioning it or debating it or discussing it, because you're seeing all the debate right here now in front of you, and you saw it all last month, and I'm sure it's going to continue with you guys and with us. So I guess that's me just sort of pushing back a little bit respectfully. I want you, again, you have every right to say that, but to say that we didn't question it, I'll just push back on that a little bit.
I didn't question if you
No,
questioned
I
it.
know. I respect what you're saying. I respect
I'm
what you're
asking
saying.
if you guys did question the state.
No, well, no. The state, if you say the state, no. We questioned it
Well,
internally.
whoever is issuing this executive order that says this is the mandate, the blueprint that you guys need to follow, I appreciate you guys altering it for our children.
Right.
I know you guys are working hard at it. This is not really a kind of sandwich I want to swallow, and I know you guys don't want to swallow it either, but I guess what I'm getting at is what the other people are kind of saying is, if we're just going to go along with everything, right?
No, I hear you.
And you're advocating for the kids, the adults, the community, is there anything that you guys can do to question the authority from the top, other than just be concerned with the money? And sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound like that, but it just kind of sounds exactly like what I just said.
No, again, I think it's a concern, right? Because quite frankly, as our BA said, like, should, potentially, theoretically, I know we don't know, the board is contemplating all of that being what, if we feel that our administration, who we charge with these things, and this is me talking, I'm not talking for the board, that if our administration is charged with doing the best that they can, taking everything that you all are saying, taking everything that we all are saying, and we're doing everything we can, do we, despite that, despite our belief, despite we think that they're doing everything they can to help all of you and all of us, do we then want to say, okay, we vote no, and again, this is me talking, not them, the board. Do we then want to say, all right, now we potentially, I'm not saying we are or it's going to happen, what happens to those kids if we have 20 teachers gone or 10 teachers gone and those class sizes are 30, 35? I'm not saying it's going to happen.
I don't think
But I'm saying, I'm more speaking my opinion and answering your question.
Not to
So, but anyway.
clarify, I think, so I can understand better what you're trying to say, I think that perhaps Mr. Espromontes is
Nice job.
saying.
With a name like Guida Cipietro, you should
Yes,
do that.
Ramon.
You should be able to do that.
Is saying kind of my comment before, is that
Yeah.
if the state had some evidence
I
and
agree,
some
I
statistics
agree.
and data saying
I
that
agree.
this really would be a great, I guess what he's asking is there any of that?
No, I'm saying I don't
And,
know
and
of
why,
it.
and are we able to ask for it?
No, I know. I keep
Absolutely.
pushing back because it's more like so anyway, but I don't think we have that, but go ahead.
As board secretary, I have to say one thing, and I agree completely with Mrs. Shiano, so I'm gonna start with that. The first thing, and this is the rule, this is what board members sign. 18A12-24.1 Code of Ethics. The first out of 10, I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education. That's what it says. You did not create this standard. They did. And that's what you have to, unfortunately, you've done what you can with what you've been dealt. I think we should approve this potentially with a protest that you say under the word I used, under protest, that the state will approve this, but we would send letters to the governor, well, I'm just telling you what I'm saying, state members of the Board of Education.
Please, again,
to
you're
the-
welcome to come to the podium.
To the
Don't
Senate
shout out.
President, the Assembly Speaker, because the legislation has to be told, not that you voted yes, but you voted yes only because the fact that you are forced to based on the standards and the ethic things that exist.
Right. I'm sorry. Did we
You know,
have,
if everyone here picked up the phone or wrote an email to their legislature that represents us in Union County and put pressure on them, they'll change it.
please, again, please don't shout out. You're welcome to come to the podium and say whatever you want. Please, please don't. We have somebody at the podium. I need to respect him.
And then you ask for a progress report. How is it moving in the Assembly or in the State Senate? And you have to lean on
Did we
them.
answer your question?
Not exactly.
Okay,
So-
I'm sorry.
I guess what I'm
We're
at-
trying to cram so much in. I apologize.
No, and I appreciate you spending the
Yes,
time.
I'm not dismissing you
And
in any way.
I don't feel dismissed,
Oh,
but
thank
all I'm saying is there any way that you guys can hold whoever it is accountable, hold their feet to the fire to provide the information that just shows some legitimacy to this curriculum or this new way of having to teach or whatever, this indoctrination, or I don't even want to use that word, but that just seems like what it is. So I'm pretty much not alone on this matter, but it just seems like, okay, there's a lot of feelings going out, but there's not a lot of facts coming to us.
Right.
So that's all. We
Right.
just
No,
want some facts.
I appreciate that.
Is there anybody that we can?
I don't. I mean,
because it just seems like you're given an order and then you have to follow it, unless there's some kind of.
yeah. I mean, we have the right to question the DOE. We have the right to ask questions of the county superintendent, which you already called the county
I did
office.
this morning. I wanted specific answers. I didn't get them. But this could happen, that could happen, but specifics, no.
No.
Okay. And how quickly would they pull funding if that was the case? Do you know?
We don't
That
know.
would take a while.
Okay.
We don't know.
We do not know.
So if you did vote a no, they wouldn't be pulling the funding, say, tomorrow?
We don't know.
Okay.
We don't.
And have you received the funding already?
You get it on a monthly basis.
Monthly basis, okay.
But I will tell you again, there's a document that was signed, that they clearly would be in violation of that document. So that, what would the state do with that? I don't know.
The board members.
The board members. There's been legislation that has been approved by the Department of Education, And unfortunately, you've been dealt that. That's what it comes down to.
So yes, we could reach out to the DOE, we could reach out to other people, you know. So yes, the answer is yes, we could. We have not, quite frankly, because we've been trying to do this, you know, here with the community, so.
Is there a legal committee that will assist with this matter?
On our board doesn't.
Do we have a lawyer on retainer or anything of that matter?
We do.
Okay. So is there any way we can kind of incorporate them and see if they can do a little more digging? Because it seems like, yes, we all have...
Sorry about that.
We all have really good intentions here, but unfortunately, it seems like we're just talking about things.
Right, no, I understand. Again, we did reach out to council, we did ask questions regarding this. My statement was a summation of that. I mean, I guess, yes, we can take that under advisement and see what we can do. I don't know any further that I can, you know, we don't have a legal committee on the board. We do have council.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
I don't know that answer that.
My name is Martin Wellsmuller, 25 Woodcrest, but not from your town. I speak at Board of Eds all over the state. It's Wayne, Randolph, Parsippany, Mount Olive, all over the state on this topic and other topics. I don't envy the position you folks are in. I've been to most boards, not for nothing. You guys are doing a rock star job. I've seen really bad boards. You guys are not that it. However,
Thanks.
voting has consequences, and our voting with the governor is what caused this. This started in 2019. It was passed under night in 2020, passed at 2:30 in the morning. That's when this was done. It wasn't done in open eyes, wasn't allowed to have parents' feedback to the Board of Education. And you're right, I file ethics charge all the time against board members across the state for violations, and I know that rule very well. I'm actually doing another one tonight for another school district. So I understand the pressure you guys are under. All right, I actually know the superintendent in Fort Lee when their whole board voted down this whole issue. So there are a lot of options that you have to choose what you feel best represents your district. Now, from the program that I saw on that screen today, it was one of the best I've seen in the state, besides opting out altogether or just making an opt-in provision. End of the day, I want you guys to think of the children. If these were your child, your son, your daughter, and I have 2 daughters and I have a son, how would you want someone else to approach them on this topic, or do you feel that you'd be the best person to approach them on these topics? I always say it's always best taught at home. Okay, so what I want you guys to realize is that you have done a good job. You have a massive amount of burden. I know all the repercussions. I know the lawsuits. I know pulling the license. Trust me, I'm pretty active around the state. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. All right, so you need to take the moment to reflect, not just on what other parents are saying here, but reflect on this if this was your child. And some of you guys feel that they are your children. And you will never get an answer from the state about this. All right? Because the burden's not on the state anymore. The burden is on you. So you have a chance to take a stand for yourself to vote this down. I did like your situation about putting a protest in. I thought that was a very good idea. And that's not a horrible idea. But like I said, what the parents don't realize is that some of the teachers' licenses can be revoked and never come back. And now we won't be hireable, including the superintendent. So there are bigger things about this, but at the end of the day, my friend who's the superintendent in Fort Lee, he is taking the burden on because of the board. So I see both sides, but just at the end of the day, these are their children. They're not my children. I have my own in other districts. So just listen to the parents and do what you feel is in your clean conscience. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, Keto.
Yes. Hey, David Quinn, 2 High Point. I'm a novice here. Obviously, I know some of you on the board personally. What I'm hearing right now is extremely alarming. 2 questions for you guys real quick. Number 1, are we sure everybody in Mountainside actually knows what's going on with the Department of Education and the health standards that have been implemented? Okay. Yes or no?
I can't say that everybody in town knows. No, I can't.
Fair to say we're uncertain?
I would say, yeah. I
Okay.
cannot guarantee that everybody, yes.
Second question,
Uncertain.
asking you to delay the vote on it then, because I have a feeling with everybody in the town, obviously 40 or so people in this room, we get a chance to tell everybody we know, you're gonna need a lot bigger room than this to actually hold the amount of people that are gonna show up. You guys are clearly 100% getting
Yeah.
bullied by the state. One of your presentations right off the bat, I think it's the third slide, is listing all the penalties.
Potential.
Potentially, yes, listing all the penalties you're gonna get. So clearly, as a board, I can tell right off the bat, you're not on board with it. If it was, that wouldn't be slide number 2 or slide number 3 in the presentation. So you guys are clearly getting pushed into this, right? You haven't had a chance to see what the town reaction would actually be. The 40 or so people in here know practically the entire town. You're gonna need the auditorium for it if you delay this vote.
Well,
You're gonna
not,
just.
I don't want to stop you, but
Yeah.
I'm stopping you, but not disrespectfully, I hope. So August, our superintendent did send out an email to the entire, and again, this is, I'm just stating facts. I'm not, so our August, an email was sent out to the entire district with the curriculum in it. And we already had a meeting, we had a meeting last month, and we did technically delay it to this month. So I just want that out there as just fact, not to in any way disrespect your.
Understood. And look, I apologize for not knowing about it
No,
initially.
that's okay. I don't
so
want-
it's one of those things that not always heard. We heard kind of word of mouth.
No.
But I can tell you this with the people in the room, and I know some of the mouths in the room. We will let all the parents know so everybody has the opportunity to show up here, because I got a feeling this meeting would probably go on to about 2:30 in the morning if we had the right attendance here. This is not going to be a topic that's going to be supported at Mountainside. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of pressure from a lot of parents. And when I talk a lot of parents, I'm going to say about 75% of them are going to tell you to vote no on this. It could be even worse than that. So the fact is, we don't all know about this. I just heard about this a week ago. And so the opportunity for the parents to come up there and voice what they feel is appropriate for their child is not really available right now. You're seeing a very, very small subset of what's going to happen if everybody has a chance to find out. So if the vote has to happen today, one final question. Are we 100% certain from a legal aspect that there is not an opt-in clause allowed? It's very different than an opt-out. It's significantly different. And Lakewood County is doing an opt-in in New South Jersey, next to Tom's River.
Our board attorney has informed us that it is not legal. for us
Garwood's
to
doing an
vote.
opt-in apparently too, from what I just Googled real fast.
Garwood actually shut,
Or isn't doing it at all?
Garwood
Okay.
rejected
So,
theirs.
but let's make sure, though, if we're going to vote, we have, and he's 100% a legal certain that there's no opt-in. It's significantly different, and I'll tell you guys why. It's really important you guys know this from education. Johnny didn't do his homework. Oh, we didn't know about it. Emily didn't do her project. Oh, we didn't know about it. Always the excuse is, why didn't you show up for practice? Oh, we didn't know about it. We didn't know about it, right? So the opt-in feature forces you to actually read the email. If it's an opt-out, we got a lot of parents right now that would be here. But again, they just glanced over the email real fast, didn't actually go into the details. And look, that's their fault. I'm not saying it's not. But it's a fact of life, and every one of you educators have experienced that on this board. I guarantee you multiple times. Oh, we didn't know about it. The opt-in feature forces you to actually hit the accept button on Outlook or wherever the voting or however you want to do it, whether it's in Google or Outlook, wherever you want to go. It forces you to actually read the curriculum. So I'm emphasizing this question. If you're going to vote for tonight, you have to be 100% certain that opt-in is illegal. Because if it's not, it's significant.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
J.D. Brodden, 1036 Summit Lane. Piggybacking off of that statement, if we're already thinking about doing something that might be dubious in terms of legality, why not do something else that's dubious in legality, that could fit the box better than the thing that is absolutely in question, right? You know, as far as an opt-in, like opt-in versus we're kicking it back and saying, no, we're not doing it. If you do the opt-in, then you know, there's a chance that that would fit the rigors of the stuff that we're being bullied into doing in the first place. The other thing about this is, you know, elections have consequences at the state level, and that's where this decision was made. And, you know, that's something that everybody here has to think about. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve
Matajek, 312 Partridge Run. I want to thank the board. You did a great job. From last meeting till now, what was said in the public was heard loud and clear, and you adopted that into your presentation. So thank you for that. You did a great job. What I heard before was that the vote tonight is not so much about adopting the mandate, but rather it's about adopting Mountainside's version of the curriculum. But Mountainside's version of the curriculum has to meet the minimum standards, the requirements of the mandate. So maybe someone can kind of square that up and explain what that means.
Just watching the eyes.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to. So, Mr. Matajek, what we were sharing is the standards from the state are our blueprint, and that is exactly what we are given. We are given that these are the goals that need to be addressed, but how we address it, how we instruct, how we present to our children is left solely up to the discretion of the local districts. And so you will find every district is approaching this very, very differently. Some are doing a very much more involved lessons than we may choose to do. So it is that piece of it that is on for vote tonight. It is not a vote on those standards. It is how is the curriculum that we have developed based on those standards and what we have put together on how we are going to instruct it to our students.
So you have a lot of leeway in
In
how to
how
deliver
we actually do the
mandate.
instruction, yes. No, there is no state mandate of you must use these websites, you must use these books. There is no mandate for exactly where we get our information from, which is why in my slide you'll see when this first topic first came up, there was quite an outcry regarding some specific websites and some specific instructional programs that the state had on their site. We as a district did not utilize any of those in our implementation of programming.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hi, Grace Van Kirk, 1322 Hidden Circle. This is going to be hard for me because I think I'm probably not with the majority of this room. What I did do is spend a lot of time this weekend reading both the draft curriculum and our existing curriculum for all of the grade levels. And I encourage everyone to look at everything that Mrs. Walling presented today, the changes that were made based on all of the feedback from the last meeting, and really delve into the resources that are provided, the YouTube videos that are going to be used, the books that are going to be read, because it's really important to look at what the actual material is, not what you saw on Facebook, not what some town in California is doing, not a meme that you saw somewhere else. Look at what's being presented to the school. I really think a lot of credit, as everyone has said, should go to Mrs. Walling, the curriculum team, Mrs. Posner, Mrs. Krutz. They really did the bare minimum of what could have been in the curriculum. And I just think that we need to hear some, I don't want to say I'm on the opposite side, I don't want to have these difficult conversations with my children either. But the existing curriculum in 8th grade had a whole unit on contraception and how to avoid STIs and pregnancy. I'm not sure how everybody wasn't opting out of that curriculum prior to this year if they're uncomfortable talking about oral sex with 8th graders. I don't really see much of a difference there. So it's shocking to me that the things that are in this new curriculum have not caused a massive opting out of all of the students in 5th and 8th grade prior to this year. So with that, I just want to say, I understand the uncomfortable position that everyone's in. I don't welcome these conversations with my kids. It's going to be very awkward, and it's not something that I'm looking forward to, but I welcome that the units will be presented in advance so that I'm ready and prepared to have conversations with my children. And if I think they're not ready for it, I will gladly opt out. I also like that the opt-out program, based on the feedback from last month, will be brought up every month. The onus is really on the parents to do actual, real research into what our district is doing and not all of the other outside influences that may sensationalize and scare everyone in this room when what we're actually doing here and all of the hard work that got put into it is very thorough and the bare minimum of what it could have been and may have been presented at other school districts. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Chelsea Aranjo, 248 Pembroke Road. I don't have a speech prepared tonight, but I wanted to just piggyback off of a few other people's comments. I'm a young mother. I have a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old child. So I, like the hundreds of parents in Mountainside, did not get an opportunity to review these and prepare for this meeting. I know a lot of new moms in towns who have no idea that this meeting's going on or about the curriculum that's being introduced. So I would like you to all consider all of the moms that, future moms that live in Mountainside and kids who will be going to school, because this is going to impact generations and generations to come. And I can't even imagine by the time my children are in, elementary school, how many things that we're going to just get bullied into, and how much our curriculum will change by then. And so I would like you to think not just about, school funding today and think about the generations and generations of future children to come in Mountainside.
So I have a question.
Sure.
There's a lot of questions about.
I'm not going to stop
There's a lot of questions about timing.
Yes.
Right, and delaying it, questions, right? Where are we at there, right? Because I know that came up last time.
Yes.
I know that there are clear deadlines, and we become non-compliant at some point. So
We would be non-compliant after September 30th.
So a pushback beyond September 30th is we're doing something wrong. All right,
Correct.
Right? All of those risks.
The state
But it's
mandate
just a
is,
simple-
the
similar
state mandate
saying
is
we're
that
non-compliant,
the
right?
new curriculum has to be implemented September of. Yep.
Hi, Michelle Worth, 1137 Sawmill Road. I spoke at the last meeting as well. I'm a pediatrician, I'm a mom, I'm also a Cub Scout leader, and I question the certification of the gym teachers who are presenting these very sensitive topics. What are their specific certification to present these specific topics, and will they be watched or supervised by another senior teacher to make sure that by teaching abuse, they are not abusing our children?
We cannot discuss personnel publicly. I don't think we can discuss personnel publicly.
I'm not asking about the specific
I don't know
personnel,
that
I'm
we
asking
can-
about the qualifications
I
of
don't
them
think that we
to
can-
teach the specific topic.
I don't think legally we can discuss their certifications beyond saying that.
The teachers who are teaching the health units identified will hold a health and PE certification. That is the certification that they are given from the state of New Jersey that certifies them to teach the topic.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I thought he was coming up.
Oh, I did too.
I'm sorry, I thought you were coming up. Any other comments from the public? Nope. I just want to be sure. There you go.
Hi, I'm Beth Aranjo from Mary Allen Lane, and I also was not informed, but I am also a Mountainside taxpayer for 40-something years. So, that's my daughter who went to Deerfield, and my grandchildren that live in Mountainside will also probably, maybe going to Deerfield. Depends on how this curriculum goes. But let's just say we started the meeting talking about bullying. That's how the meeting opened up, with bullying in school, and now we're closing it with bullying of our Board of Education. And it's really, really sad that you're going to allow the state to dictate to these parents how their kids should be informed. What I suggest is vote no, see how the state comes back. Maybe you can work out a deal and do an opt-in program. Why not test the waters? Why not say no? See how far you get. Somebody's got to stand up and say no. I mean, it's up to you. Do you guys want to go down as the Board of Ed that sold out Deerfield? Or do you want to stand up to the state? That's all I have to say.
Yeah, if I could, using the phrase sold out, I just please, I respect your right to say, no, if you want to come back, because you weren't done. No, you're allowed, come back so we can talk to you. I'm sorry, Mr. Quelly.
off.
No.
I'm just so aggravated.
No, no, and I.
Listen, I just want to make
No,
a
no,
statement.
no.
Do you want me to say who I am?
All right,
again?
okay. I want to let the board, because I think I appreciate your use to say what you need to say. I appreciate it. I think that my two board members want to just have a discussion with you about that. So-
You know, I think everybody here should be really, really aware of how hard this is for us.
It
Okay.
it is. It's why
Right,
everybody
just saying
cares.
sell out the board. I mean, listen, this is hard. I mean, we are being bullied or whatnot. Regardless, we are here for the children. We are here for the community. We are trying to do our best. We spent hours working with the administration and Mrs. Wallings and Mrs. Krutz to change everything, to try to make it okay. And even if we still like it or we don't like it, we are still human beings. And to that gentleman before who asked if we had children in the district, well, that's why we're here. We have children in the district. We all are parents. So, just be a little gentle with us because we're doing our best.
Well, what I'm saying is that you also have options, okay? So you have options to vote no or vote yes.
Right. No,
I'm asking you to vote no, that's it. I'm asking you to vote no. This is the future of
Right,
Mountainside. This is it, right now.
No,
This is
I
the
don't,
future of Mountainside.
I take,
And you know
right.
what,
No, I
once-
take no exception
Once
to
the door
you-
is open,
right,
it doesn't get closed.
Right, I
That's
take
all
no
I'm saying.
exception to you saying that you want us to vote. I have no exception to that. I just think, again, I'm with Dr. Lucas
Right.
Pietro.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
once that door is open, there's no closing it.
I
There's
appreciate
no going
that.
back.
Did you
So-
want to say something?
And that's on you.
The one thing I want to say, and this is, I know
Thank you.
Mrs. Van Kirk came up here, and it is evident she thoroughly read the curriculum that we will be teaching in Mountainside. Has everyone in this audience done that? Thoroughly, you've watched every video, you've read every book, you've read every piece of the curriculum that Mrs. Walling has posted. Because if you've looked, because when I'm looking in the audience and we're putting up the body parts, other districts are teaching the body parts of what we're imagining when we think body parts in second grade that we would not want to discuss. But we're not doing that, and we're still meeting the standards. So,
Please, I just asked to please.
so my question is that I hope that the audience and the parents that could not be here tonight have truly delved into how we are presenting or how we would present the curriculum as using a blueprint of what the state has given us. So that's all, and if you haven't, that's fine, but I ask that you look at that because it will be working in another district. It is going to be taught very differently than how other districts teach it.
Thank you.
And like Candace said, Mrs. Van Kirk did a great job. And listen, that's what everybody parent in the district should be doing for all our topics, right? It shouldn't start now with this one. We should really be aware of what our children are learning in school.
Joe Quayle from 1082 Willow Road. So I think it's great that we're all here tonight. And I keep hearing this, curriculum, but we're changing it. Curriculum, but we're changing it. I feel like there's a dividing line here. And on one side, if you accept it, I think eventually, when you're not here, the children are going to get hurt. And then there's the other side, which if you accept it, the teachers will be okay, the money will be okay, there's no lawsuits. So I think that the line has been drawn here. Which way are you going to vote? Either you're going to vote for the children, or you're going to say, you know what, we're going to do what we can for now for the children by manipulating the curriculum. And, we'll kick this can down the road, and when we're not here in, 6 years or 7 years, maybe it's going to turn into another district that you're talking about, where they're teaching everything. For me, I'd say, vote for the children. Let's not worry about the law right now.
Any other questions from the public?
Or comments?
If there's nobody speaking for the first time, you can come back. But I will limit you to this time. This I'll limit you.
I agree with you. You guys did an exemplary job with what you were tasked to do if you're going to go ahead and pass this. That's absolutely correct. I think we all appreciate that. But I'm just thinking of like Lakewood School System. Lakewood School System had a lot of Hasidic Jews come in, and they have a lot of strong religious views. They removed themselves out of the school. Lakewood schools are now bankrupt because what's left, what they're getting back from the state, because they have so few students in the school system, they're truly bankrupt right now. And I like the thing, by kicking the can down the road, and again, I feel so bad because it would be hard to do what you're doing, and I get that. But if we kick this can down the road, there's a strong possibility that our schools were going to bankrupt in the long run, because I know if I had kids now, they're not going to step foot in a public school anymore. And I've talked to a lot of parents, and they do have that same view. Now, whether they take their kids out now or later, if there's districts or our district becomes, like Joe was saying, those ones that are talking about the real body parts that other districts are, we may bankrupt the district anyway. So like I said, like he had stated, I'm not really worried about the law. I'm worried about our kids, because there's possible ramifications on either way. So I just hope you think about.
Thank you.
So can I say something?
Hey, Viv is here.
Hi. I'm sorry I walked in late. I myself had back to school night in my district, and I can tell you this. Working in another district, they haven't sugarcoated it at all. It's very sad. We have done, when I tell you, endless hours looking at this. There was not an alcohol in my bar that I could drink to digest these words. And I said, you know, Mrs. Walling she came back to us. She was texting me while we were on the beach. And I said, I'm not going to answer her. I'm not going to answer her. So we worked hard. So every night I've been going to bed sick to my stomach because we are being bullied. You're absolutely right. We are being bullied. What's going to happen next? I like the way Mr. Quayle put it, that we have to think of the future. What's going to happen with our kids and our kids' kids if they stay in Mountainside? We are a small community. Please don't judge us with whatever way we go. We've worked hard. We will look out for all your kids. At least I know most of us will. All of us on this board will. Because not only am I a parent of a child in Mountainside, I'm an educator, loves every single child. One day I'll be a grandmother, so that worries me. What happens to our future? What are we going to be teaching next? So the questions you have, I have all of them. What's going to happen in GL? God knows what they'll be teaching there. So we have to start thinking of that as well. So with that said, sorry I had to just speak, but I was here late, so I just wanted to put my peace of mind.
Thank
We
you.
might not leave anything for GL to teach.
No, you're good. You're good.
A lot of the questions that have been raised tonight have been legal questions.
Please come to.
I'm so sorry.
Just I want to get you on the.
I'm so sorry.
No,
A
it's
lot
okay.
of the questions that have been raised tonight have been legal questions. I've been to, unfortunately, I've got a very boring life. I go to a lot of meetings. And at a lot of those meetings, there are borough attorneys, there are board attorneys, and there is no board attorney here tonight.
No, we actually have two here.
Oh, you have two
Yes.
attorneys for the board?
Yes, but-
but
but-
they're not sitting at the board?
No, because, I'm sorry, I didn't know she left. Yes, our board attorney is here. She's not at the dais because she is here to advise us, not the public. They
Okay.
have,
That-
right,
that's
because
a-
attorney-client privilege, all that good stuff. So she's here. She's actually, I've looked her direction a few times.
Okay.
So, no, she is here. She is here. She's
Just a
right-
question of the
She's
setup.
right there. I will introduce, Isabel Machado is here. So, yes, she's here.
Thank
So.
you.
And if we wanted to, again, if we had any questions, we would step out with her and address them, so. But thank you for asking. I was waiting for that question.
One quick question.
Sure.
Garwood has denied it.
Just say your name again.
Carlos Santos.
Thank you.
Garwood
Address?
has denied
Address?
it back in May.
Address.
Oh,
Sorry.
1103 Mountain Avenue,
Thank you.
Mountainside.
Thank you.
Want the zip too?
No. I think I know it.
I think so. So Garwood has denied it back in late May, beginning of June. Have they received anything from the state, as far as you guys know, as ramifications?
We know that the state is aware of their denial, but whether or not anything has any parameters, that would, again, be at a board level, probably with their attorney, so it may not be public knowledge.
Right, okay.
Hi again. Tara Shirtino, 250 Knollcrest Road. I actually know someone on the Warren board member, who's a Warren board member, and there have been no ramifications as of yet from Warren or Garwood. I know someone on the Garwood Board of Ed as well. So, Warren said no. Right after they heard what the
Please,
ramifications
I'm sorry, don't address the, you're welcome to come up and ask,
So-
but address the, please.
Yeah, so I just want to, and then
Thank you.
also, if you do happen to vote yes, why not have it taught on the last day of school for a short amount of time? You're following directions, you get your money, and no one can discuss anything afterwards if you happen to vote yes, rather than opt out, opt in,
Right.
this, that. 30 minutes, you can wrap it all up in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sounds so simple, right?
Yes, so simple. Any other comments from the public at this time?
Okay.
All right. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Laura Vitolo, 1592 Grass Lane. I just wanted to reiterate my main concern. I think everything you guys have done is amazing, all the resources, the books, the movies, excellent, on par. But my concern is the general idea of, the gender identity. That opens a whole can of worms. And I was heartbroken yesterday when I was informing someone in town about this meeting and, letting them know, oh, did you know what they're voting on? They didn't know. So many people don't know, really. But, this person went on to tell me that their child, who is now a freshman at GL, has a couple of friends who have transitioned already. And so that means like 13 years old. No 12 or 13-year-old should be given any cancer-causing hormones.
That's a family decision?
Right.
I mean, like this, how does this
No,
interfere
but
with
the
our curriculum?
effect, but see, you have to understand, I'm in PR. I do humanitarian work, helping disseminate truth. I know exactly what a lot of these factions are up to, politically and otherwise. And I know the games they're playing. And, these kids are exposed to social media, and then if it's reinforced in school, gender identity,
But
then, I think I'm a boy all of a sudden.
I know, I just have to stop you only because I think it's been pretty well documented that's not in our curriculum. So again, we're dealing with what we're presenting.
No, the definition of gender
The definition
identity
is, and
and
we put it
sexual
up.
orientation.
And we put it up, and that's what it is. That's it. So there's no lesson.
But even the words gender identity, it's
life.
But thank you. Sure. You're a first-timer at the podium, so.
I didn't prepare anything. Excuse me, my name's Leslie Peckham. I live at 474 Summit Road. My kids went through the Deerfield school system. They're now 34, 35 years old. They have kids of their own. They're all preparing to teach their own kids for homeschooling with the Hillside program. I fought the STD program that was introduced back in the 90s. And this is where we've come. I lost. I had a computer specialist call every single household in Mountainside. We had a 200 parent attendance and we lost. Okay? This is where we are. You guys are all suffering. You're getting sick at night. You're waving your head. You're all putting yourself through pretzels.
I'm very emotive.
Oh, whatever.
I can't help it.
Be
Ask my
emotive.
wife.
You can be emotive. The point is, you're all suffering. You're being extorted. That money, by the way, that they're not going to give you is our tax money.
Yeah, good point. Real good point.
How about that? They're using our money to force this down our throats. Okay? That's wrong. And that's why elections have consequences. But I've never seen, you've worked very hard to put together this phenomenal curriculum, but you are turning yourself into pretzels. You are like the proverbial frog in the pot with the boiling water. And it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And you're trying to put up with it. And I don't see you. You're just like giving up. I would ask you to vote no on this and see what happens. If you don't vote no, you're going to destroy the Deerfield school system. My kids are already out of the public school system. It's been polluted. It's being destroyed. And you guys, unfortunately, are the employees of this system. You're going to be impacted. What did you think was going to happen when the state was controlling the pocketbook? So I urge you again. I've seen it 40 years now. It went from the STDs to now teaching kids about oral sex. How long can you hold off not talking about oral sex? 5 more years? 10 more years? Okay? Thank you.
Just a point of clarification, we're unpaid elected officials, not employees. So I just, again, no disrespect, but I'm not getting anything for this.
Volunteers, say that again, volunteers.
Volunteers on my birthday.
I got
Volunteers
a raise last night. My pay went from 0 to 0. I have 3.
Volunteer parents.
Volunteer parents. Thank you, though. Thank you. Any other comments? I should close the public session? Okay. Are you coming to say something or just take a beautiful seat? Thank you.
Everybody knows by now.
Yeah, well, you might as well sit. No sense in standing. Okay, so we'll close the public portion. I don't know if the board has anything else they want to say. It has been. Do you want to? Well, all right. Let's move on. So with that, I'll go to. Are you done?
I'm done.
Wow. I think you're done. So I'll go to. Do you have a business administrator's report?
I have a business administrator.
So I will go to our Berkeley Heights liaison report.
Sure, yeah, it'll be quick because the Berkeley Heights Board of Ed has not met since our last meeting on the 30th. Our next Berkeley Heights Board of Ed meeting is this Thursday, the 22nd, 7:30 public session at GL, which is new as of last meeting. And for those interested, there was a Berkeley Heights Board of Ed candidates debate. That was last night, if anyone's interested in paying attention to that board as well.
Right.
I'll have more next time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So with that, I'd ask for a motion to approve under administration items 1 through 3.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions?
Can I just ask about 3, Janet? How, if at all, how different or dramatically different is our virtual remote plan this year versus last? I mean, it looks
It is
largely
pretty
intact,
much identical to last
I assume
year,
so,
and
yeah.
just as I've shared before, this is not what happens if we say shut down for a day.
Correct.
This is the plan that the state requires if we were to shut down for more than 3 consecutive days.
Yes. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions from the
3
board?
consecutive days for,
An event.
okay.
So we
Sorry.
don't need it.
Roll call.
Mr. Dillon.
Yes.
Dr. Guidice-Pietro.
Yes.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Pupo.
Yes.
Mr. Ruban.
Yes.
Mrs. Shiano.
Yes.
Mr. Vennis.
Motion to approve under budget and finance items 1 through 6.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions?
Question, line number 3. This is the first year of the auto renewal of the contract with GL? This amount?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And approximately how much was this an increase year over year?
Was it 2.5%, 3%? I forget
Yeah.
the top. Yeah. I think it was 3%.
No, it was close to 4.
Right,
No,
had a
it
reset.
Fell under the
Right,
threshold of
3.9,
renewal.
you're right, right.
But it was like, I think it was 3 point and change.
Yeah.
And
High
then-
change.
then
It
there's
just
a
made it.
more significant jump to true up next year?
Next year
Right,
will be
it's-
2%.
The way it was
Everything moving
structured,
forward.
yeah, the way it was
2%,
structured is that on year 3 was used to determine the tuition for year 5, taking into account a range of 4 below or 4 above, so that any district who had, been overpaying or underpaid, there would be a correction in year 5.
Okay.
Year 5. I think I got that.
Yep.
Mr.
Any
I have
other
a question with number 4. With the Class 2 officer, can you please just explain a little bit more, like what will that officer?
So what this is we are approving our annual agreement with the Borough of Mountainside to support a Class 2 officer here in the district. In the past, we've had one officer here for 5 hours each day. Moving forward, we will actually have 2 officers, one in each school. So rather than being shared between buildings, we will have a Class 2 officer on site in each building. And for the current school year, the Borough of Mountainside is supporting additional hours beyond the 5 hours for each person. So the district has already doubled our financing support, and then the borough has agreed to help support the additional hours.
Fantastic.
So that will provide beginning to end of day security coverage in both buildings.
Excellent.
And we
Thank you.
did interview somebody just last week, and that person should be on board with us by hopefully the first or second week of October.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dillon.
Yes.
Dr. Guidice-Pietro.
Yes.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Pupo.
Yes.
Mr. Ruban.
Yes.
Mrs. Shiano.
Yes.
Mr. Vennis.
Yes. Motion to approve under personnel, items 1 through, wait,
So moved.
hang on. No, I said wait, not 8.
Oh, I thought you said 8.
Sorry, yeah, because I went wait. 7.
It's actually 7. So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions?
Yes, I would
think-
just like to acknowledge, sorry, I had to jump
No,
in there.
yeah, no, I know.
You just want the floor.
I do want the floor.
Just want the floor.
Mr. DeVico started working here in 1991 when I went to school here. And, oh my God, I just aged myself, right? And he's just going to be such a loss. I mean, he's such an asset, so a huge thank you to him for all his years of dedication, always being so responsive to us, and if you email him the night before, he like writes back at like 5 in the morning. He's just wonderful, and I just wish him all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a major loss, and whether he wants us to thank him, in a bigger way, I think we should, as a board, should find a way to do it, either with or against his wishes.
Agreed.
Yes, he will be very, very difficult to fill those shoes, and he
Yes.
will be sorely missed here in the district.
Yeah, I've worked with him long before I became a board member, and he just cares about all of you. He cares about your kids. He cares about these schools. It was really hurting him that the buildings were in the shape they were in before the referendum in 2019. He's incredible, and I have nothing but respect for him and what he does, and
Yes.
it's just wow. So, thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dillon.
Yes.
Dr. Guidice-Pietro.
Yes.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Pupo.
Yes.
Mr. Ruban.
Yes.
Mrs. Shiano.
Yes.
Mr. Vennis.
Okay. Motion to approve under item 1, curriculum.
So moved.
Second. Comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dillon.
No.
Dr. Guidice-Pietro.
No.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Pupo.
No.
Mr. Ruban.
No.
Mrs. Shiano.
No.
Mr. Vennis.
No. Thank you, thank you. Motion to approve under policy item 1.
So moved. Oh, you have to stay now.
We're so little left.
Jeez, sweating profusely.
Sorry, motion to approve under policy item 1.
So moved.
Comments or questions?
Mis-
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dillon.
Yes.
Dr. Guidice-Pietro.
Yes.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Pupo.
Yes.
Mr. Ruban.
Yes.
Mrs. Shiano.
Yes.
Mr. Vennis.
Yes. Motion to approve under policy item 2.
Second.
Comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dillon.
Yes.
Dr. Guidice-Pietro.
Yes.
Mr. Hyman.
Yes.
Mrs. Pupo.
Yes.
Mr. Ruban.
Yes.
Mrs. Shiano.
Yes.
Mr. Vennis.
Any old business, Mr. Hyman? Oh, no, I thought
No.
you.
Me?
Oh, we said earlier.
Did we?
We
What?
said earlier.
Well, I mean, there's a birthday on the board tonight, if that's the question. I thought you wanted to address that in new business.
Oh,
but, you know,
Yeah, she's
all
not
right,
old. You can't
right.
do it in old
Right.
business.
Oh,
Still her
okay,
birthday.
so is there any old business?
No, except the
Not
old
here.
person. we're
Not
gonna
here?
talk about.
Any new business?
Happy birthday, Candace.
Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Candace.
That's exactly how I wanted to spend my birthday.
We know, with us.
I was really excited about doing this tonight.
And
Any
we're-
other new business? Go
Fall
ahead.
Festival, October 15th. Can't think of dates. Yep.
Thank you.
PTO.
I've got one.
New business?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was officially on the record back in May. We had talked about it, but I'd like to get an update on our 5-year strategic plan at a future meeting. How are we tracking? It's just, let's put it on the agenda.
Absolutely, and it may also fall under, as we've discussed, we are working on our board goals for next year. And I think that as we finalize those, a number of them will align with some of our strategic plan as well.
Yeah. Or
So
find
we
a
can
gap.
fill them.
Right, and that's, so I think it's important to review them again while we're setting the district goals.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
Yesterday, I attended a
Library?
library committee meeting. Support our library. We have a new director. She is amazing. She's trying to turn the place around. Obviously, it's going to take some time, some cleaning up, but she really has some great ideas. So we're trying to get our numbers back up. They are up, but we're trying to get them back to pre-COVID. So her name is Mrs. Shaw, great director, so go support our library.
Thank you, Ms. Pupo. Any other new business? Any committee reports? I'm wondering.
I could share, we did have a finance.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting. The primary topic of that meeting was the evaluation of a building use form, which has since been removed to be edited. That was.
Maybe it was?
We're in the
Oh,
process
okay,
of
I didn't know,
finalizing.
No, I just wanted to make, I didn't know if it had been already. I was just like questioning if it had. I know, you're right, it was being revised. I didn't know if it has been since we had
So,
that.
nothing critical to share.
Yeah, yeah.
More to come on the topic when and
Right.
if that organization resubmits a building use form.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. Any other committee reports? At this time, I will open the floor for public participation on any topic. Again, I think I'm going to limit you to 3 because I think everybody's just beat. So, again, come to the podium, state your name and address. Again, this is on any topic, be it agenda or not. Again, state your name and address prior to making a statement.
Thank you.
3 minutes, Ms.
Thank you for 2 minutes and 30 and 59 seconds. For listening. Thank you so much for listening, because I know I've been on both sides, and I cannot thank you all enough for listening and going with your heart, not necessarily what the state was mandating. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you, too, and I heard everything you said. I know how powerfully painful it must be to put that magnitude of work into something for months and months to try to do the best you can to meet the standards and then actually say no. I appreciate it tremendously, because I know that was an extremely difficult thing for all of you to do, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other, I was thinking of something else. Any other public participation? I do just want to say one thing. Again, having been on the board for as long as I have and gone through the struggles that we've gone through, I just want to say I respect everybody on this board, and everybody on this board carefully considers every vote they make. They don't do it for any reason other than the good of people, because they believe they're doing the right thing. They're basing it on the opinions that they hold. And I just want to say that we need to, as a community, really respect people who will sit up here, do what they believe is right, no matter what that is, be it unpopular or popular or whatever, in the face of an audience that had a lot of passion. I think you guys were very respectful, so thank you for all of that. But I just want to say, and I want it out there for everybody as a community, everybody on this board cares about everything they do and everything they vote for. And in no way should you interpret anything that anybody does on this board, whatever vote they make, whatever thing they say, as anything other than that. So and I'm saying this as a 12-and-a-half-year board member, board president for 11 and a half years. There's people in this audience who know what we've gone through to get to this point, to allow people to speak their minds and vote the way they want and not have to worry about anything other than doing what they think is right. So I'm just asking the community to just respect that among all the board members and everything that happened tonight. And I just, please, just know that there's nothing but great intentions of everybody sitting on this board and in everything they do. So I felt I needed to say that. So.
Well said.
Heads up again. So with that, I do not believe we need an executive session at this time.
Candace needs to go have birthday cake.
Candace, I think you can still do something. It's only 9:40. So with that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, meeting adjourned.